I have filmed this video a couple of times before and I don't know how much I'm going to input that was from other videos. So, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the chosen one I'm going to upload? And I'm not going to freak out and delete and never share. So it is that time of the year again where, you know, schools are back, universities are kind of back. I believe they start early October, end of September. I have been contemplating about uploading one of these videos for possibly 4 years or so now. It is the year 2015 and I have been uploading videos since 2008. I guess you could say not many people know about this anymore, I don't think, and it's been a long time coming where I let it all out. This week I am going to talk about something that has literally taken me 10 years to talk about. Okay, so in 2007 I had my GCSEs. I did my GCSEs and I pretty much failed my GCSEs. The highest grade I got was... I feel like now it's been 10 years, I can sit down and share with you guys my story. It's going to be a long one, so be prepared. So I'm actually going to start this video, or this conversation, this topic, when I was 7 years old. So when I was 7, back to when I was 7, this was when apparently these issues first started, but I don't remember them because when you're 7 you can't really remember everything. But I do remember one reason, or one time. I don't know if it's just because my mum's told me about it over the years and I've just sort of brought it up with my figment of imagination, or if it actually happened. So when I was 7, I believe my issues with school first started. I don't know what triggered them. I think I just was too scared to get out of the car. We would drive to school and I would hide in the car and I would apparently sit in the back of the car, and you know you have your seats and then where your feet are where your feet go. I was really small so I could fit into that space, and I would just be like that and just like not want to get out of the car at all, and my mum would have to like proper like get me out of the car, yank me out of the car to help me get it to school. And I don't know if it's when you're 7 that you have your first SAT exams, but there's an ongoing similarity with all these. So I was 7 and that was happening. I honestly can't remember that because that was like nearly 20 years ago. So then that happened, that period of my life finished. I don't know, I must have got over it or something. I didn't have any other issues, carried on. Turned to when I was 11 years old. I was in 5th year, because in 4th year I had Mrs. Roberts and I absolutely loved her. But in the 5th year we had, I can't remember why, but we had Mrs. Miller, and she had the most annoying nails, scratching down the whiteboard, the blackboard. We didn't even have whiteboards. The blackboard, the chalk. Oh, my ears just cringe at just remembering that. I don't know why, but that year, I guess I have a feeling now that it was more because it was anxiety and worriedness and stress. I've now come to the conclusion that it was anxiety based. I definitely think it was my SATs because I was off school for 3 months and then I moved schools to my village school and they didn't know where I was in like their grading system because I didn't take my SATs, and they were struggling to work out where was best to sit me in the classes. You know, like when you have maths and you have like lower, intermediate, high grades. What they call, I can't remember. This is how bad I am at remembering what school systems were like in the back in my day. So when I was 11, which is the time I remember very, very well, basically it began, I believe, with me. I think it started off, I can't remember how it started off for sure, but I would get these tummy aches. There was a long period of my life where I would go to school, I would sit in class and get these really bad tummy aches, which would then lead me to every single day going downstairs and sitting with the secretary and doing like admin jobs, like doing envelope stuff and writing out addresses on envelopes and things. Like, they literally made or got me to help them out in the secretary's office. I remember that really, really vividly. I can't remember what time of the year it was, but I feel like it was after Christmas. Like, my mum says it was only like one term, so maybe October time, but I can't really remember. I feel at this period of my life, when I was 11 years old, I was also getting bullied at school, and all of my friends were leaving me. All of my friends were moving away, or had moved away. I seem to remember being the only person, or, you know, being by myself, walking around the playground, like making up games, like imaginary games with just myself, and no one else would come with me or like play with me. Even like my best friend of that time period, all of my close friends were moving away and I was left by myself, and I feel like that was probably the straw that broke me. I got these tummy aches, and that led me to eventually, I think there was like a half term or something that came up, and then it got to the point where I would not leave my bed and I would not leave my room in fear of going to school. And we don't know what really was the thing that made it happen, but I can now look back on it and I can sort of know what the reason is now. Around that, I think it was around when I was 11 years old, I also ended up going to like the hospital for tests to find out what it was. They even had like a camera down my throat to see what was wrong. Couldn't find anything. So eventually got to the point where I would like even go to the extreme of hiding myself in my cupboard, locking myself in the bathroom, and just not wanting to leave. I remember my mum also like driving us to school, so she would have to drop off James first, my brother James first, and then she would have to drop off William, and then me. So it went James, William, me. We would probably arrive and then I wouldn't get out of the car, or there'd be a struggle and I'd get out of the car and then I would go to class and then I would feign illness and then go home again. The odd thing is, the same thing happened when I was 16 and I had these tummy aches, but then as soon as we left school they would go away. They would go away. So I had school phobia, I guess. Like, that's the only thing I can call it. I don't know what else to call it because I've never met anyone else who has had the same issue. School phobia, and I had these tummy aches that are really like pronounced as well. Like, I get them when I'm hungry, when I'm thirsty, when I'm tired, when I'm anxious, when I'm stressed. I just get them like really annoyingly at annoying times. So when I was 11 that happened, and then it got to the point where I would just not leave my bed. I would just say, oh, no, I'm not feeling very well. My dad would come in and give me a cup of tea, and I'd be like, oh, no, I'm not going to bed, not going today. But then as soon as my mum left the building with my brothers, I'd be okay. I'd be fine. Like, I could play fake and be as if I'm sick, but I was fine. There was nothing wrong with me. I would go into what was then my little computer room, not my dad's, the little computer room, and there was a TV in there, and I used to watch Barney and Friends, and like some Airplane, like kids TV. I would go in and watch that straight away. So I feel like it had to be something that was not me being actually sick, like physically sick. It had to be something else different. But at that age, when I was 11 years old, they just called it school phobia. I was scared of going to school. They thought for a while that I had a lot of extra gas in my stomach, so I was put onto medication for that. So I was off school, I believe, for about 3 or so months around that point. And then they decided that I should move schools because they thought that was the issue, that it was the school. So it got to the extremes of where my primary school, the school that I loved, kicked me out. They said that there's nothing that they could do for me, and that they basically thought it was best if I moved schools. But you know what? I never gained those friends back. I made like some friends. I had some friends there when I was like a baby up until 11. Some of them I'm still friends with on Facebook, but I haven't seen them since I left that school. So I don't really know why I'm still friends with them on Facebook, actually, oddly enough. Yeah, so the period of getting me back into school, it was a process. So they got me in slowly. So they would get me in for like a day, like an hour, 2 hours, half a day, and then a full day. Like, slowly does it. But even before that, to even get me into school in the first place, I had 2 teachers, and they would yeah, this is, I guess it kind of makes me really sad thinking about it, but they would come into my house and literally drag me out of my house. And I mean, by literally, I mean they would pick me up, shove me in a car, and drive me to school. And the school was only like 2 minutes down the road by car, 15-minute walk by walk. I remember there was one day where I would, well, as I said earlier, hide in my wardrobe and hope that they wouldn't find me. I've also hid underneath my bed. I tried to lock myself in the bathroom, and my dad tried to break it down from the outside. There are times where I shut myself in my room and I pushed the door to try and make them not come in, and it worked. It got me back in. I was put into my village school in year 6, and that wasn't where it ended. I was shoved into a new school where I had all my village friends. My village friends who weren't really my village friends. They were when I was younger, when I was small, but they all thought that I was a weird little girl for coming to that school, because I had obviously not been in the same education as them, and I'd been shoved like halfway through the year into the same class as them, and they weren't happy about it. And so that raised my new set of bullies, and the bullies that I would have my entire secondary school as well. I was so unhappy. Wow. Oh, I really hated school. I really, really, really hated school. It got me I would spend, in my first school and in this school, I would spend my breaks with the teacher. It got to that point where I didn't have any friends, that I would prefer just hanging and speaking with the teachers instead of my friends or friends. I've never been able to trust people ever since. So I was able to go to that school, and I lived through it. Got through year 7, where there's only one class for year 7, it was that small. Got through that. And then it was time to move on to my secondary school, and I was fine. I was perfectly okay. So year 8, year 9, year 10 go along smoothly. I've got a whole new bunch of brilliant new friends. really good friends, and then year 11 comes along. When I was 15 going on 16, year 11 GCSE year, yeah, it happened again. I would not go into school because I had tummy aches for year 11. Like one of the, well, what they tell you is one of the most important years of your life. This time I don't think my parents even tried helping me as much because I was 15 at that point and very adamant that I wasn't going in. I used to take the school bus, which was left my village about 7:30, 20 to 8. It got to the point where Mum started adding me into the school run, so she would drop off my brother at his school and then take me. And it got to the point where I would be in the car and say, no, I'm not going in. Nope, not going in. And I would be like, I feel really sick, don't feel great, blah, 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 every single day. During that period when I was off, I also got a few text messages from some of my so would have been friends, where they basically started up rumours about me and saying I said stuff about people that I never said. And there we go, I lost my second set of friends. So my primary school friends, who I knew from like being babies and starting school, all gone. And then my friends from the secondary school that I knew from year 6 and 7, then year 8, all gone. Like that. Since then I've never been able to trust people ever since. They obviously had stopped believing me at this point. I don't think they've ever believed me again. If I'm ill, they always think I'm lying now because of these 3 times I had these tummy issues. But at this stage I had the internet now, so I was still talking to my friends on MSN back in the day. There are rumours that I had died, there are rumours that I was like terminally ill. There was one massive rumour which made everyone hate me, and I don't know why, but someone made up a rumour about me to someone else who was one of my close friends. Horrible, apparently, because it made them ring me up on my phone and say that blah blah blah, saying this about me, blah 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 blah. And yeah, that was the day that I lost everyone because of them. So that made me want to go back to school even less. Fortunately, that same school year, my school started up like a classroom for, like, I think it was called the Learning Centre or something, I can't actually remember, which had my old art teacher Graham and one of the, like, the assistant teachers, Chrissy. They were managing it, so I would go there instead. And basically it's a room where kids who could not work in the normal working environment, you go to this place, and they sort of help you through it. So it's usually where lots of naughty kids go when they can't work, and they come for like a session, like a couple of lessons a week, or like a specific lesson that they can't work in. They will come over there to work in. So I basically spent my whole year 11 year after that in that room. I would work with them, and they started giving me GCSE information, but obviously because I wasn't in the right classes, I didn't get the right teaching, and therefore I failed all my GCSEs. Yeah. And they tried to make me go back to my normal class, like, every now and again, and I did it, and I would get the most awful looks. But I was in that school every day, in the learning centre, just not in my actual class. So because of that, you know, obviously I wasn't in my normal class, wasn't getting properly taught, and I actually still have some of the material I was meant to go back to the school. I still have some of that, which is quite bad. Because of that, I didn't really revise, I didn't really take it seriously. The good thing is that I gained my confidence back. I still had those tummy aches, but I managed to go back gradually in and in and in. A couple of times I had the courage to go into class, which was the most painful couple of hours that I've ever had in my life. When you go into a working environment of about 30 students who all think you're dead, and you join in, and then you don't speak to, none of them speak to you at all. It's not a favourite. Okay, so there was one lesson that I loved, and that was science. And I think they were trying to like push on my like recovery, and so they got me to go into that science lesson, and my god, it was probably the worst thing I'd ever done in my life. It was so awkward. I just remember everyone looking at me and thinking I was really weird. That was the only time I did that, I think. The only time, because hell nah. Wasn't going to do that again. Best part is that I went to my year 11 prom. Probably the worst idea ever to do. It was the most awkward evening, and literally everyone was not interested. I was meant to take a few like practical exams. Obviously, because of my position and that I wasn't in school every day, I could not take my drama exam and I couldn't take my dance exam, so they automatically had U's on. And then I did not take my media studies practical. I think there was a media studies practical. There was a media studies one that I didn't take, and there was a food tech practical exam that I didn't take, so I got U's on there. And then I think the highest grade I got was a D, and I got that in English. And I tried retaking maths in sixth form, because yes, I had to do that. In year 12 I tried to retake maths, and I got exactly the same grade as the year before, which was an E. I definitely think the maths one I was put into the wrong class. I was put into intermediate, and I should have been in like the lower group rather than the middle group. I think I definitely should have been in the lower group, because I've been awful with maths, but I was forced into the intermediate group, so there we have it. Because I obviously did not do well in my GCSEs, I was allowed to do what I wanted to do, which was actually going to be I wanted to do like drama. That was like my go-to course of choice. I still would love to be an actress, which is why I love doing these videos, because it sort of gives me that inner sort of actress feel. And I wanted to do performing arts, but they didn't believe I would go to any lessons, so they made me not do performing arts, which I regret. I went to the head of sixth form, and when I said I wanted to do like the performing arts, and the head of sixth form said he didn't believe I was going to be in class every day in sixth form, so he wouldn't allow me to do performing arts. And so the only course I was allowed to do in that year was a health and social class, which was a BTech, and I hated it. I hated it, but I went into school every single day without a fail. If I was unwell, I did not take it off. I went into school every day to prove to them that I could do it. So I went to sixth form, did health and social care for BTech year 12, just for that 1 year. And then, okay, I didn't like it. I thought, you know, okay, I'll help out doing some childcare stuff. And I had to do work experience in the nursery in the village where I live currently, and I hated it. I was not good at looking after kids, and to this day I'm still awful around kids. I just don't know how to act, don't know how to look after them. Yeah, I'm just so out of my depth with that. So then I decided I'll go to college. I was able to go to college because I did the BTech to enable me to go to college. And then I was able to go to college where I did like a diploma or something in secretarial admin. And I was like, okay, I can become like a secretary, I can become like an administrator, that's fine and dandy. I am actually qualified to be a secretary or an administrator sort of thing, which is kind of cool, I guess. That happened, and I got a distinction or something in that one. I got a distinction in that one. I got a merit or a pass in the health and social care one. So the health and social care one was enabling me to go to college, and that was like the equivalent of some GCSEs. And then the secretarial admin was like the equivalent of doing year 12, which is the first year of A-levels. And then I could go on to doing another course, which was where the foundations of my future career began, which was computing and IT. IT and computing, IT, computing and IT. I essentially thought about doing this when in my secretarial admin course there was one class that was based around computers and like HTML things. I think we were meant to be like creating emails for something and I was like, HTML, yeah. And I've actually been doing that sort of thing on my own, on my computer, since I was about 13 or 14 when I first started ever using the internet. I was into that HTML coding thing. I self-taught myself like HTML and all that jazz. I was really into it, so I was like, yep, doing that. So computer and IT, I did that was a 2-year course, and then that was the equivalent of doing my A-levels. So I was then able to go to university. So if it happened again, if this stomach thing happened again, it would happen in the first year at uni, but it didn't, which I'm so thankful for. They do still happen, and it is the most annoying thing ever to get these tummy aches, and no, there's nothing I can do about it because, you know, there's no cure or whatever. Haha! So yeah, it's a really long-winded way of getting to university. So I started university 2 years after like the general age everyone starts uni. So when everyone was like graduating, I was probably in my first or second year of uni. So now I can really have a career in web design or some sort of area like graphic design. So I went to university, Canterbury Christ Church University down in Kent at the bottom of the country, which was 3 hours away from home, which I actually quite enjoyed being so far away from home. And I managed to get a 2-1. No, I didn't. I got a 2-2. I believe I got a 2-2. I think it was a 2-2 as a degree of web design. I managed to stay at university all 3 years. I do have tummy aches, but nothing to the extent where I don't want to go outside and I get really scared. And it was a really difficult time in year 11. I've always been the kid that was not really popular. I was sort of the loner kid, didn't really have many friends, which pretty much shows to this day that no one really remembers me, which is kind of disappointing really, like that they've all just sort of dropped me, but I mean, if that's how it is, then that's how it is. Essentially what I'm trying to tell you guys is that the GCSEs are not the end of the end of the world, because I managed to get here. I managed to go to university. I managed to get a full-time job. Like, everyone's always really scared when they fail their GCSEs or don't do well in the GCSEs. But honestly, it's fine. You can find a way around it. I went around a long way around. I had to do like 3 different courses to enable me to get into university. Everyone's always really scared that they're not going to be able to find a job that they like when they fail the GCSEs. But that's so long ago. It took me, what, like 6 years to get to the position where I got a job? And I'm only 25, which, you know, is not too bad. I started my job when I was 23. It's fine. Honestly, failing your GCSEs is not a bad thing. Everyone always says it is, but it's not. Like, you can find a way around it. You just have to look into it and work hard. Working hard is definitely the key. From me being like off sick in year 11 to be able to push it through and show everyone that I can do it, that I have the ability to get over what happened to me and prove to people that I am fine. I got my GCSE results. I remember crying, being really upset that I did not do well, but that's my own fault. A, I was off that year unwell. B, I did not revise as much as I should have done. And C, it's just how it was going to be. Quite enjoy that I managed to prove myself wrong. I managed to get myself a degree. I managed to do everything, and now I've actually got a job. And I have to say, I always thought I would be the worst person to find a job. I know a lot of universities have, like, you need to get an A to C in English and maths, but there are a lot of courses out there. You can find there's a lot of universities out there that have a lot of different courses that all have different requirements. You will find one that has a course that you enjoy or want to do that does not have that requirement. Honestly, because that's what I did. So I had to find like 5 different universities. I think some of them had the requirements of having to have an A to C in Maths and English. And then there were 2 that didn't. One that was in Dundee in Scotland and the other one that was in Kent. I definitely feel like you should 100% work hard, revise, do all you can for your GCSEs, because you will get a really good future doing it. But if you don't have the results you want or need or require, etc, 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 it doesn't matter, because you will find a way around it. I mean, hell, there's a lot of people out here that do YouTube on their own, and you don't need to have a qualification to do YouTube. You just upload it onto YouTube and that's it, you're done. You get money from it. People in bands, if you think about it, people in bands like One Direction, they did not finish school, yet they earn millions. So there's ways around it. If you have that, you just have to have the drive to get to the position that you want to get to. I kind of find it funny that I failed my GCSEs now, because I can look back at myself and think that it was probably the worst year of my life. Hated that year, yet it led me to this. This YouTube is not my full-time job. I don't know if you guys know that. I basically do this as my hobby. This YouTube thing is my hobby. My full-time job is me coding emails. Technically, yeah, I basically create the HTML versions of emails to specific clients that we work for. Nothing that I've really shared out loud before. There's probably a lot more on this topic I could talk about, like how I thought, how I was feeling, how I was thinking, and what I was thinking and what I was feeling, and you know, inside, how it was to be me in those time periods. Like, I couldn't leave the house at all. I couldn't leave the house. I would get panic attacks in the shopping centre. I would get panic attacks in general. If I was suddenly feeling really thirsty or hungry, I would get a panic attack, because I was like, oh no, it's the end of this, I don't want to get a tummy ache. I'll get a massive panic attack. It just makes sense for it to be anxiety, because it's in those situations where I'm like scared or nervous, you know, there's like certain periods of time where I get these tummy aches still, and it just makes sense for it to be anxiety. Like, I'll get panic attacks. Oh my god, you had panic attacks. I had a panic attack in the shopping centre. I forgot about that. That was awful. I think it's stupid that you need to get like A to C's in English and maths to be able to do half the stuff. There we go. This was painful to film, I have to admit. There are a lot of stories from those time periods where I was off school. So if you guys want me to go into more detail about them, then write down below and I'll see what I can do. There are a few that I can think of right now in my brain that I haven't mentioned in this video. I feel like in like the last year, like literally the last year of this year, like the last 12 months, I feel, I have come to the conclusion that it is anxiety based that these tummy aches are from. It just makes sense, and I get them to this day, and they're the same sort of tummy aches I got back then, and it has to be, like, there's no shadow of a doubt that it has to be anxiety. There are other health issues wrong with me now though. Like, I've still got chest pains. Like, I started getting them in March and now it's later on in the year and I'm still getting these chest pains. And there's also the fact that I can't hear up my left ear, but regardless, nothing too life-threatening, I don't think. At least I don't think my chest pain is. I don't know, because that's been quite a long time. I haven't died yet, so it's okay. I'll keep you guys updated on that maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I have rambled on for long enough. I will let you guys go, and I'll see you guys next week. As always,